Hey, it's Grover from PhotoShelter, and I'm here in Los Angeles with Todd Bigelow, who is a photojournalist in the Los Angeles area. And you shoot a lot of stuff, a lot of really nice things.
Thank you.
But the stuff that you're really known for, at least in my eyes, is your stuff on immigration.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done a lot of photo projects on immigration, and they've all been really good, really. I can tell you're really into this topic, and so I want to talk to you about photo projects. And you've compiled a list on the 6 secrets to a successful photo project. So I would love for you to go through that list for everybody.
Thank you. I think there are 6 secrets to a really, really good photo project. The first one is copyright. Copyright for your image. Retaining that copyright is absolutely imperative if you're going to make a successful photo project and get it seen out there. Looking at it from the broadest perspective, you have to be able to have that copyright for a variety of reasons. Licensing your work so that you can generate some revenue to cover the costs of your photo project.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Definitely, those costs will increase rapidly.
You give away your copyright, you're pretty much giving up the revenue you could be generating from that, and that's the end of that.
Absolutely, and you also need to be aware of the fact that if you give up your copyright, that image could be used in places that you wouldn't necessarily want it to be used.
Another good point. Right.
Yeah.
All right, what's number 2?
Number 2, I think, is really, really important for you to just really get going on your project, which is passion.
Okay.
Pick a subject matter that you're passionate about. You don't really have to have any reason for it. It can be a social issue, it can be something fashion related, it can be anything that you like, as long as you're passionate about it. I think that's key, because that passion is really, really, really going to drive you out there to photograph. And remember, these photo projects, like we're aware of, they take a lot of energy, and you need to put your time in, and that time is sometimes very long. I've been working on my immigration project off and on for close to 20 years, 17, 18 years, and if you're not passionate about it, you're probably not going to get out the door and spend a lot of time working on it.
Now, you're definitely passionate about the immigration thing. I know that because, before we turned the camera on, Todd was just all like, we were talking about immigration and the laws and things that are happening at the border and on both sides of the border, and he was just fired up about it.
Right.
And so I think that kind of passion really does translate into your work. Your work is beautiful, and you really, that passion definitely comes through.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that the third thing that photographers really need to keep in mind is that you have to have a really thorough understanding of your topic before you make that journey into informing others.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, some of the best teachers we've ever had are the most knowledgeable. So have a really good understanding of what it is that you're about to go out and photograph. One of the things that I often think about when I tell others, when I talk to some other colleagues and such, is that we need to let these stories somewhat unfold a little bit. So you have this really thorough understanding of what it is that we're out there photographing, but at the same time, you let these things unfold. So for example, I was photographing down along the border, and I had a pretty good understanding of the fact that the border was being shut down. It was, widely being reported. I was seeing it with my own eyes, making images of it. But understanding that this story will continue to unfold, I went south of the border into Tijuana and started photographing in a Catholic migrant shelter called Casa del Migrante. And I think it was having that understanding of how the story continues to evolve led me into the shelter and found a new avenue to kind of explore and make more images that were telling of the difficulty in crossing the U.S.-Mexico border.
Right.
The fourth thing that I would like to really address is having a realistic expectation for what it is that you want to take on, and lot of times, we might think we're going to get real easy access to what we're photographing, but that's not always the case. Most of us who've been out working on projects realize that you're going to hit that roadblock. And that roadblock might be a government official, might be your subject. But oftentimes, one of the things that we have to remember is that we're being invited into people's lives. We're being invited in to investigate and record with our cameras. And the best projects are going to go much further into depth than what is expected to be seen for a particular topic. And we kind of have to blend that expectation of what we're after with what's realistically available for us to shoot. Sometimes you're going to run into those roadblocks, and I've run into them. I've been told that I can't photograph in certain areas or can't accompany Border Patrol as they work. Sometimes I've been allowed access, sometimes I haven't. But the key is to find the route which will give you the access to best tell that story.
Right. Okay, are we on 5?
I think we are on 5. One of the things that we need to definitely that I like to keep in mind is not to have preconceived ideas. Having preconceived ideas can be extremely detrimental to a really good photo project. And what I mean by preconceived ideas, I think most photographers, when they think of any subject, if it's sports related, you think of Michael Jordan, you think, oh, flying through the air, slamming the basketball down through the hoop. Great. So let's say you had a portrait and you wanted to go do it. You might have this preconceived notion, I'll have him flying through the air. And that might be great. And the same goes with project work. Working along the U.S.-Mexico border, I might have preconceived ideas of that there's this great image of somebody running across the border, and that could be the case, and I might make a decent image from something like that. But what it will do is it'll actually shut more doors than it will open, because most of the time when we have preconceived ideas, I think we tend to stop after we've successfully made that image. So we don't kind of let that whole let that idea unfold, let that story unfold a little bit. And if you let it unfold, you're gonna actually find some new things to photograph. I found vigilantes in eastern San Diego County that were running their own basic border patrol, private citizens, guarding the U.S. Border Patrols back in '96 and wearing suits that made them hide in the weeds and jumping out and surprising groups of migrants coming across the border. And I only gained access to that because I didn't just stop at my preconceived ideas for what photographing along the border was like. I let the story unfold, I went with it, and I discovered a whole nother avenue. Cool. Yeah, which was alarming, to say the least. Yeah, but the bottom line is, getting to the last point is
Point 6.
Point 6, man. We need to get it seen. We need to get our
yeah. That's true.
We got to get our work seen, and if you don't get your work seen, we kind of lose that whole purpose for educating people with our photographs, and that's really what photojournalism is about. And that's what I've tried to do with a lot of my immigration work. And I know there's other photographers. I know there's many other photographers, my friends and colleagues out there doing the same thing that I have tremendous respect for. But the bottom line is we got to get it out to magazines. You got to contact people.
Yeah. So how do you go about getting your stuff seen?
You do a little bit of research again. Just like when you're researching your topic, you research the types of publications or websites or places that might be interested in looking at your work and hopefully publishing your work. You need to be able to make cold calls. I've made many cold calls. I've traveled to New York more times than I can count and hauled my work in front of editors and said, please look at this. And oftentimes I was fortunate enough to have that lead into having my work published. So, look up websites, go to a bookstore and pick up magazines and read the masthead and call the editors, and the editors don't get mad at me because, they know it's the way it works. They get many calls, but they want to see the work anyways.
So do you send galleries? Do you ever send galleries?
I send galleries a lot. It's one of the things that this digital age is just wonderful. I send a lot of gallery links to editors, and you can mix and match your images to kind of maybe custom tailor
Right.
the particular images for that, what you think that publication might be more interested in, and it's very effective. Very effective.
Well, these are great 6 very helpful points.
I hope so. I hope so.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me in your home.
Thank you, Grover.
And
It's a
for
pleasure.
sharing all this stuff and for all your great work.
Thank you. Thank you very much.